April 24, 1980. The Iranian desert. In the middle of nowhere, a massive fireball lights up the night sky. Inside that fire are 8 American servicemen. But they aren't fighting an enemy army. They haven't been shot down. They are the victims of one of the most ambitious and disastrous special operations missions in United States history. This was supposed to be a daring rescue. Instead, it ended in a humiliation that shocked the world. 5 months earlier, Iranian revolutionaries stormed the United States Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 Americans hostage. President Jimmy Carter was desperate. Diplomacy had failed. Political pressure was growing every day. So the military drafted a plan so complex it sounded like something from a Hollywood movie. It was called Operation Eagle Claw. The idea was simple on paper, but incredibly risky in reality. 8 helicopters would launch from the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz and fly hundreds of miles into the Iranian desert at night. There, they would meet C-130 transport aircraft carrying fuel and elite Delta Force commandos. In total darkness, they would refuel, regroup, and then fly toward Tehran. The next night, those commandos would storm the embassy, rescue the hostages, and escape before Iranian forces could respond. It required perfect timing, perfect coordination, perfect weather, and perfect luck. They would get none of those. Shortly after leaving the USS Nimitz, the helicopters encountered something the planners hadn't predicted. A massive desert dust storm known as a haboob. Inside the storm, visibility dropped to almost zero. The pilots could barely see their instruments. Fine dust filled the air, choking engines and confusing navigation systems. Some pilots began experiencing severe vertigo, unable to tell whether they were climbing, descending, or flying sideways. One helicopter suffered a mechanical failure and turned back. Another lost critical flight instruments and was forced to abandon the mission. By the time the remaining aircraft finally reached the secret rendezvous site, code-named Desert One, they were already hours behind schedule, and they had only 6 helicopters left. 6 was the absolute minimum required for the rescue mission. If even one more helicopter failed, the entire operation would have to be cancelled. At Desert One, things immediately began to fall apart. The remote landing site wasn't as isolated as planners believed. Suddenly, headlights appeared in the distance. A civilian bus full of Iranian passengers drove directly into the middle of the secret American operation. 44 shocked civilians were detained while the mission continued. Moments later, a fuel tanker truck approached the area. Fearing it might be Iranian military, American forces fired a rocket to stop it. The tanker exploded in a massive fireball, lighting up the desert night like a signal flare. The entire area was now illuminated. But the worst discovery came moments later. One of the remaining helicopters had a severe hydraulic failure. It was unsafe to fly. That left only 5 helicopters. The mission required 6. The rescue operation was now impossible. The commander made the painful decision: abort the mission. After hours of risk and planning, the rescue attempt was over before it had even begun. But the nightmare wasn't finished yet. In darkness and swirling dust, the remaining aircraft began preparing to leave Desert One. Pilots were exhausted. Visibility was still extremely poor. As one helicopter lifted off to reposition, it flew into the cloud of dust, kicked up by a nearby C-130 aircraft. The pilot lost spatial awareness. In seconds, the helicopter drifted into the transport plane. The helicopter's rotor blade sliced into the fuel-filled wing of the C-130. 30,000 gallons of aviation fuel ignited instantly. A massive explosion tore through the desert night. Flames engulfed both aircraft. Ammunition began detonating inside the burning wreckage. Survivors scrambled through smoke and fire to escape. 8 American servicemen were killed in the explosion. 5 Air Force personnel, 3 United States Marines. The surviving forces had no choice but to flee immediately. They evacuated in the remaining aircraft, leaving behind damaged helicopters, classified mission documents, and the bodies of their fallen comrades. The next morning, Iranian forces arrived at the site. They discovered the destroyed aircraft. They recovered the abandoned equipment. They found documents revealing the entire American rescue plan. Images of the wreckage were broadcast across the world. What was meant to demonstrate American military precision had instead become a global humiliation. The hostages would remain in captivity for another 270 days. They were finally released minutes after Ronald Reagan was sworn in as president. But the disaster at Desert One had lasting consequences. The failure exposed serious problems in coordination between American military branches. In response, the United States created a unified command for elite missions. United States Special Operations Command, SOCOM. The modern structure of American Special Forces was born from the lessons of this failure. Operation Eagle Claw was a tragic mission that ended in disaster, but it reshaped the way modern military operations are planned and executed. Sometimes history is not changed by victories. Sometimes it is changed by failure. What do you think? Was Operation Eagle Claw doomed from the beginning? Or was it simply a case of incredibly bad luck? Let me know in the comments. And for more unpredictable moments from history, make sure to subscribe. We are unpredictable. See you in the dark.